This is Ascend presented by Arnav Sahoo. So here's where we're headed. I'll start with a little bit about me, then I'll get into the problem that I kept facing and how I built Ascend in order to fix that. So here's a little bit about me. I'm Arnav, and outside of school, I really enjoy playing volleyball. But my real passion is in competing in business competitions like Future Business Leaders of America, Startups in Business and Technology, and also AI hackathons. And the one thing that all these competitions have in similar is that in each of them, I have to come up with my own idea from scratch and basically turn that into a fully functional business. And after doing this again and again, I kept running into the same problem. The problem wasn't that coming up with the idea. The problem was knowing exactly what to do with the idea. So the process of turning the idea into an actual business was really unclear, overwhelming, and honestly just really frustrating. So I pretty much just built Ascend in order to fix this. And I found out that I wasn't the only one facing this problem. I found out that most people who have a good business idea never even end up launching it. And I found out that most of the ones who do end up launching fail. But they don't fail for random reasons. They fail for the same predictable and preventable reasons. The number one reason why most businesses fail is that they end up creating a product that nobody actually wants. This is a problem that 42% of all startups face and is the reason why they end up failing. They fall in love with some idea that they created and they never actually check if there's demand for it. So they spend months and thousands of dollars developing it only to come to the realization that nobody actually wants it. And the second reason why most startups fail is that about 14% of them end up failing because they are simply unable to get users. So even if they have a really great product and they validated demand, they still just don't have a great marketing strategy, so they're unable to get their first few users and really just launch off the ground. So just overall, the main reason to share the same thing where there's just really no guidance online today. There's no guidance on exact steps that you should take, the process you should follow, and there's no sort of co-founder that's guiding you along this process, which could often be really confusing. And I found out that this isn't just me who's facing this, there's a large amount of people. So first of all, over half of all students want to create a business. And Gen Z is the generation with the most amount of people wanting to create a business. So just for an example, in the last year alone, over 5.7 million people applied to create a business. So in summary, the demand and the ambition to create a business has never been higher. And on top of that, AI has made creating a business pretty easy because you can quite simply create a landing page, create the core functionalities in a single weekend. But what AI hasn't solved is knowing exactly what to build and how to launch it in order to gain your first users. So that's exactly what I built Ascend to fill. So Ascend is an AI co-founder, and it essentially works in two different halves. The first is a 4-step journey, which takes a founder from the raw idea all the way to being able to actually launch their product. So the first step is the idea analysis. So what this step is that the user would enter in their raw business idea, and then Ascend would give them a really polished business concept and exactly what the business would be. And the next step after that is demand validation, where Ascend will tell them specific steps on how they can actually validate that there's real demand for their product before they spend months and thousands of dollars developing it. Then comes the MVP roadmap, which is where Ascend tells the user exactly how to build an MVP of their application. And MVP stands for minimum viable product. So essentially it means the simplest version of their application that they can build, which still retains core functionalities. And it makes this process really clear. So it's extremely easy for the founder to do so. And the final step in this journey is the go-to-market plan, which is for users once they already have their MVP, it tells them exactly how to gain their first few users. So this entire 4-step journey is for taking a founder from the idea all the way to being able to launch it. And now the next phase of this is there are 4 growth tools, which is for businesses after they've actually launched it. So the first growth tool is a pitch deck generator. Now, this is really valuable for founders who are trying to seek funding from investors, as it gives them a polished PowerPoint that essentially just pitches their business and covers all the important steps that they followed in order to launch it. And the next growth tool is a competitor edge finder, which researches the market and finds exact competitors of that startup, and then it tells the founder exactly how they can differentiate themselves and really just set themselves apart from the competition. And finally, the last growth tool is a feature planner. which is for founders when they have a really good feature idea on what they want to add on to their MVP. It essentially plans it out, tells them how to test it, and also how to actually build it out, similar to the demand validation and MVP roadmap. And the final tool is a customer feedback analyzer, where the user can input in their reviews of exactly what their customers have been saying about their startup. It then analyzes them and tells them exactly what they can do with that feedback. So essentially, one line to summarize what Ascend is that I looked at all the common reasons why businesses end up failing, and I built a feature to prevent each and every single one. So now we'll get into my demonstration. Okay, so we'll start here in the landing page of Ascend. And from here, I can get started by creating an account. I can use Google for a really seamless process. From here, I'm taken into the main dashboard where I can create my first startup. Now, a startup idea that I will be using is an app that analyzes volleyball players' gameplay and tells them how to improve. So this is just my raw idea, but now I can generate the idea analysis. So this tells me a really polished concept of what my business will be. It tells me my target customer, industry, an elevator pitch, and 3 strategic recommendations that I should follow. Now I'll continue over to demand validation. Here I can enter in my budget for validating demand, which could be, for instance, $100. Now I'll generate the validation plan. The validation plan is 3 steps where I can really just ensure that there are customers who are interested in my product. So for instance, the first step is interviewing coaches to make sure that this is a problem that they face and that by analyzing their own players is just a problem that they constantly face. So and down here, I can enter in exactly how the test went. So I could say that coaches love the idea and faced the problem. And it also tells me exact specific steps on exactly who I should reach out to and what signal I should be looking out for. So it also asks me how many people were reached out to. So it asked me to reach out to roughly 10 varsity coaches. So I'll say that's what I did. And how many showed real interest? I'll just say 9, for instance. And now it asks me, did it hit the target signal? So each one of these steps gives me a target signal. So for this one, it's at least 4 coaches articulate a strong pain point and say they're interested. So since I said 9 showed that, then yes, I did hit the target signal. So now I can analyze this result. After analyzing it, it tells me that since I hit the target signal, it will allow me to move on to the next step. But if I had not hit the target signal, it would have told me how to refine this validation step and just ensure that there is demand at every single one of these steps before continuing on. So there are 2 more steps. The second one is where I create a landing page and see if people are willing to sign up. And the last one is where I would actually manually perform this service. But for the sake of this demo, I'll continue on to the MVP roadmap. But for an actual user, they would have to go through each of these steps before being able to move on. Now for the MVP roadmap, I could enter in my budget for creating the MVP. And I'll say it's $50. Now I can generate the roadmap. A roadmap gives me a really polished document on the scope of it, the full build roadmap, the recommended tech stack, and exactly what I should not build and some risks that I should be looking out for. Finally, it tells me the checklist I should follow before I'm ready to launch. So now since I've finished my MVP, I can continue on to the go-to-market plan. So for this one, I'll say that my budget is $0 to mimic that of a founder with limited resources. So now it tells me exact launch timeline I should follow and a 3-step plan for exactly how I can attain my first users and really just get my business off the ground. Finally, it tells me exactly what launch channels I should be following and also what my long-term marketing system can be once I've gotten my first few users. Now, at this point, my business has been established and I have my first few users, so I can continue on to the growth tools. And there are 4 growth tools, and I'll go through them step by step. So the first one is a pitch deck generator. So here, if I enter in my founder name and I enter in what I'm asking for, it will generate me a polished pitch deck. And this is really useful for founders who are seeking funding from investors, as it makes it really easy to pitch your idea. So now I can download the PowerPoint and I'll open it up. And As you can see, it's a really polished PowerPoint that just covers everything that I've done so far in my business. It has real statistics from the demand validation, and then it talks about my market and exactly what I'm asking for. So this is a pitch deck generator tool. Now the next tool is a competitor edge finder. This tool essentially analyzes the market and it finds specific competitors of my startup, and it allows me to visit their real website. Along with this, it also tells me some market gaps that it finds and exactly how I can differentiate myself from these competitors. Finally, it tells me some strong feature ideas I could add just to further set my startup apart. So, for example, one of these feature ideas I really like, it's about using wearable data. And I can actually create this with the feature planner, which is my third tool. So here I can enter in my budget for creating out this feature, and it'll plan it out, similarly to demand validation and to the MVP roadmap. First, it will tell me exactly how to test out the feature to ensure there's demand for it. And after that, it will tell me a comprehensive build roadmap on how I can actually go ahead and build this feature out. And it will also tell me the tech stack that I should be using. The final growth tool is a customer feedback analyzer, where I can enter in reviews of what my customers have been saying about my startup. So for instance, one feedback could be, I love the app, but wish it told me what food to eat to fuel myself. And I could also add in more entries. I'll just keep one for now. And I can analyze this feedback, and it will tell me some patterns that's finding, what problems I should fix, and the opportunities I can do, and the opportunities I should follow in order to better match what my customers are asking for. Finally, it tells me the exact feature idea I should build out in order to address this problem and really just make my product better and better suit the needs of my customers. So these are the 4 growth tools. Now I'll move on to the settings. Here I can change the appearance to be dark mode, which applies cleanly. And then I can also set some preferences, like the default view and the AI output density. So overall, this is a comprehensive overview of Ascend and the full journey that it takes our founders through.